And now let's learn about one universal selector that is used for resetting to default values. And this selector selects everything on the page, so all elements, and you basically can set any CSS property for all elements on the page. All major web browsers have a default style sheet they use in the absence of an external style sheet. These default style sheets are known as user agent style sheets. In this case, the term user agent is a technical term for the browser. User agent style sheets often have default CSS rules that set default values for padding and margin. This affects how the browser displays HTML elements, which can make it difficult for a developer to design or style a web page. Many developers choose to reset these default values so that they can truly work with a clean slate. And here is the example. Right here, this is the selector. The code in the example above resets the default margin and padding values of all HTML elements. It is often the first CSS rule in an external style sheet. Note that both properties are both set to 0. When these properties are set to 0, they do not require a unit of measurement. So you don't need to type pixel units here or any other, so just type 0 and that's enough. In style.css, reset the default margin and padding values for the body. What happens to the web page in the browser? Okay, oops. Let's add our global selector and let's set margin to 0 and padding to 0. And let's run our code and let's check the page. And we can notice some changes there. So we set margin and padding properties to 0 for all the elements on the page. But for some elements, we manually set those two values or some of those two values. Like this example, allies have padding of 20 pixels top and bottom and right and left of 0 pixels. So some elements will have some space, padding or margin, but for those that we didn't set after setting the global selector, those will have 0 for margin and padding properties. I can notice the H1 is now different positioned. This title has lost some space on top and bottom, I think. Let me see. Yeah, everything else looks, I think, the same. So basically, the bottom line of this exercise is this global selector that you can use to reset the default browser CSS values, and it is mainly used for margin and padding properties. So you can set everything to 0 and start working from there. And let's continue to the next exercise.